In the shadows of fame and fortune, there's a silence that screams louder than applause. Jaguar Wright, the outspoken truth-teller of the music world, has once again pulled back the velvet curtain, this time exposing the haunting truth behind Solange Knowles' fear of her own sister, Beyonce, and brother-in-law, Jay-Z. It's a revelation that shakes the very foundation of an industry built on image, power, and quiet obedience. Jaguar claims that behind the polished smiles and carefully staged moments lies a world of manipulation and intimidation. Solange, known for her artistic soul and quiet strength, allegedly carries a fear that's more than just professional rivalry. It's survival in a system where loyalty is bought and silence is demanded. What really happened behind those closed doors? And why does Jaguar insist that Solange's every move is monitored and controlled by forces much darker than fame itself? This isn't just another celebrity feud or tabloid rumor. It's a glimpse into the machine that creates icons, breaks spirits, and buries secrets. From industry cover-ups to whispered betrayals. Jaguar Wright is naming names on Solange's story might be the most chilling of them all. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear could change everything you thought you knew about the Knowles empire. Jaguar Wright's words hit the music industry like a thunderclap. Known for her unapologetic honesty, she's not afraid to call out the untouchables, especially when it comes to the hidden power structures that keep artists in line. When she spoke about Solange Knowles and her fear of Beyonce and Jay-Z, it wasn't just gossip, it was an alarm. To understand the depth of what Jaguar was saying, we have to start from the beginning, where the Knowles legacy began and how it evolved into one of the most influential and feared dynasties in entertainment. Beyonce was always positioned as the golden child, molded for greatness from her earliest days in Destiny's Child. Her father, Matthew Knowles, ran her career like a military operation. Every performance, every interview, every move was carefully orchestrated to perfection. Solange, on the other hand, was encouraged to take a different path, a quieter, more artistic one. She was the dreamer, the thinker, the rebel in a family of precision and power. But being the younger sister of the world's biggest pop star came with its own price. Solange had to live in the shadow of Beyoncé's perfection, while still being expected to uphold the family brand as Beyoncé rose to unimaginable fame. Marrying Jay-Z only cemented her position at the top. Together, they became the first couple of music, a symbol of success, control, and influence. But that partnership, according to Jaguar Wright, was also the beginning of a darker chapter. Jay-Z wasn't just a husband and business partner. He was the architect of an empire that thrived on loyalty and fear. Behind the glitz, Jaguar claims there was manipulation and an environment where questioning authority wasn't an option. Solange, who had always been more outspoken and emotionally open, found herself increasingly uncomfortable with the dynamic surrounding her sister. People remember the infamous elevator incident in 2014, when Solange was caught on camera physically confronting Jay-Z. The world was shocked. Tabloids turned it into a spectacle. But few asked what could have triggered such a reaction from someone as private as Solange. Jaguar suggests that this moment wasn't an isolated burst of emotion. It was the eruption of years of suppressed frustration and fear. Behind that elevator door, Solange wasn't just standing up for herself. She was pushing back against a system that had tried to silence. Her Jaguar's claim is that the Knowles-Carter empire functions with an unspoken hierarchy. Beyonce, whether willingly or not, stands at the top as the figurehead, controlled as much as she controls others. Jay-Z is the enforcer, the strategist, and the gatekeeper of access. Solange, who values freedom and authenticity, doesn't fit that mold. According to Jaguar, this difference is what makes Solange a threat and what fuels her fear. When someone refuses to conform in a system built on secrecy, they become dangerous. Industry insiders have long whispered about the price of fame: rituals, contracts, and compromises that go far beyond the public eye. Jaguar Wright insists that Solange has seen things she wishes she hadn't. She's watched people rise and fall overnight, seen careers destroyed for speaking the wrong truth, and felt the weight of being connected to a power couple who can silence anyone with a single phone call. Wright paints a picture of Solange as someone trapped between blood and morality, terrified to expose what she knows but unable to ignore it any longer. In Jaguar's words, Solange isn't crazy. She's scared and she has every reason to be. That statement alone turned heads across the industry. For years, people have speculated about Solange's independence, why she moved away from mainstream pop, why her sound and style feels so different, and why she keeps her distance from the Hollywood circuit. Jaguar's explanation gives those choices a chilling new context. It's not just artistic preferences, self-preservation. The deeper you go, the more it starts to make sense. Solange's music has always carried undertones of rebellion and emotional depth. Her album, A Seat at the Table, wasn't just about empowerment. It was about reclaiming identity in a world that constantly tries to take it away. Many fans celebrated it as a masterpiece of self-expression. But through Jaguar's lens, it reads almost like a coded message, an artist speaking her truth in the only way she safely can. Jaguar Wright's revelations challenge the fairy tale image of the Knowles family. They force us to question how much of what we see is genuine and how much is scripted by an industry that rewards compliance and punishes authenticity. If Solange truly lives in fear of her sister and brother-in-law, what does that say about the cost of power? What does it mean when even those at the top feel trapped by their own success? By the end of Jaguar's account, it becomes clear that this isn't just a story about celebrity rivalry. It's about control, silence, and survival in a world where truth is the most dangerous currency. Solange's fear, if real, isn't rooted in jealousy, it's rooted in knowing too much. And as Jaguar continues to pull back the curtain, one can't help but wonder how long this secret can stay buried before someone decides that silence is no longer an option. The music industry has always been a world of glimmering lights hiding deep shadows. Beneath the stages, awards, and magazine covers lies a system designed to control artists, dictate narratives, and protect those at the top. Jaguar Wright has been inside that world long enough to know that not everything is what it seems. When she began exposing what she calls the hidden architecture of manipulation, her claims about Solange's fear of Beyoncé and Jay-Z fit into a much larger picture, one that reveals how fear is used as a weapon to maintain power. Jaguar's perspective isn't that of an outsider looking in. She lived the industry life, touring, recording, and witnessing firsthand how influence is built and protected. According to her, the Knowles-Carter empire isn't simply successful because of talent and hard work. It's a carefully constructed machine powered by control, secrecy, and alliances with people who pull strings behind the scenes. She insists that Beyoncé and Jay-Z have become symbols of what happens when the system rewards obedience and punishes truth. For Solange, this control structure became suffocating. Jaguar claims that Solange's individuality and resistance to conformity have made her a liability to an industry obsessed with maintaining image. She's the one who won't play the game, who refuses to follow every script handed to her. That makes her unpredictable, and in an empire like theirs, unpredictability equals danger. Jaguar describes Solange as someone who has seen the cost of fame up close, the lies told to maintain public favor, the people discarded when they're no longer useful, and the way truth-tellers are labeled as unstable to discredit them. There are stories within the industry, ones that never make the headlines, about artists being pressured into silence. Jaguar Wright suggests that Solange's fear doesn't come from imagined paranoia, but from real consequences she's witnessed. Careers can vanish overnight. Rumors can be planted. Contracts can be manipulated to keep someone financially trapped. In an industry built on perception, the threat of being labeled difficult or crazy is enough to destroy credibility. Jaguar paints a picture of Solange walking that line every day, knowing what happens to those who step out of place. One of Jaguar's most unsettling claims is that Beyoncé's public image as an empowering, flawless figure is maintained through a network of handlers and enforcers, people who monitor narratives, silence opposition, and ensure that nothing threatens the brand. According to Jaguar, this machinery doesn't just protect Beyoncé's reputation, it controls those closest to her. Jay-Z, in her telling, acts as both the shield and the sword, using influence and fear to keep everyone in check. For Solange, that means living in a perpetual state of tension, torn between love for her sister and awareness of the darker forces surrounding her. Jaguar Wright's accusations go further. She speaks about rituals, metaphorical or literal, used to solidify loyalty. Artists are bound by contracts that go beyond business, creating spiritual and psychological ties that are nearly impossible to break. She claims that Solange has resisted these binding rituals, choosing instead to walk a path of independence. That resistance, however, isolates her. When you refuse to be part of the system, you become an outsider. Outsiders are dangerous in a world where silence is survival. In her interviews, Jaguar often refers to a price of truth. She says that the moment you stop playing along, you become a threat to those who depend on control. She recalls private gatherings where decisions were made about whose careers to elevate and whose to bury, how scandals were manufactured to distract from bigger truths, and how fear was deliberately cultivated. According to her, Solange's quiet nature is a form of defense, a way to stay invisible while keeping her integrity intact. Solange's art reflects this tension. Her lyrics often carry an undertone of pain disguised as peace, rebellion wrapped in grace. Songs like Cranes in the Sky and Don't Touch My Hair are meditations on freedom and identity. But through Jaguar's revelations, they sound more like veiled confessions. Jaguar interprets Solange's music as a coded resistance, a way to communicate what she can't say openly. The fear, the control, the desire to break free, all there. Hidden in melodies the public hums without realizing their meaning. Industry insiders often talk about how image is currency. For Beyoncé and Jay-Z, maintaining dominance means keeping every narrative aligned with their myth. Solange's refusal to conform threatens that alignment. Jaguar claims this is why Solange's work, despite critical acclaim, never receives the same level of industry push as her sisters. It's not just about marketability, it's about control. By keeping Solange slightly on the margins, they maintain the illusion of unity. While ensuring she never gains enough power to disrupt the system, Jaguar's revelations point to a larger truth about the entertainment world. Success often comes with invisible chains. The same spotlight that elevates also exposes, and the same power that protects can imprison. Solange's fear, as described by Jaguar, isn't a weakness, it's awareness. She knows what the machine is capable of. She's seen what happens when someone decides to speak against it. What makes Jaguar's account so compelling is her insistence that this isn't unique to the Knowles family. It's a pattern repeated throughout the industry, artists being controlled by those who profit from their image. Families torn apart by contracts and competition, and truth buried under glamour. Solange, in this context, becomes a symbol of resistance. A woman who understands the darkness but chooses not to be consumed by it. By the end of Jaguar's description, one thing becomes clear. Fear isn't just an emotion, it's a tool. It keeps artists obedient, audiences distracted, and the system intact. Solange's fear of Beyoncé and Jay-Z, if true, isn't personal, it's systemic. It's the fear of knowing that speaking the wrong truth could end everything. And that's the kind of fear that keeps the most powerful people in the world safe from exposure. As Jaguar Wright's revelations spread across interviews and podcasts, the narrative began to shift. What was once dismissed as mere gossip started to sound disturbingly plausible. She spoke with such conviction, such raw emotion, that it forced people to reconsider what they believed about fame and family. Her words about Solange's fear of Beyoncé and Jay-Z weren't framed as hate. They were warnings. They were a call to look beyond the glamorous facade and ask the question no one dares to. How much control does the industry really have over its stars? And what happens to those who resist it? Jaguar often describes the music industry as a kingdom built on silence, where truth is dangerous and loyalty is bought. Every empire needs control, and in this one, fear is the currency. She claims that Beyoncé and Jay-Z's power doesn't just come from talent or money, it comes from information, influence, and alliances with people who can make or break anyone's career. When someone like Solange refuses to play the part she's assigned, that control starts to slip. And when control slips, punishment follows. Jaguar points out patterns that many have ignored. Artists who challenge authority suddenly find themselves blacklisted. Stories appear in the media to discredit them. Friends disappear. Opportunities vanish. It's a slow, strategic erasure reminder to everyone else to stay in line. According to her, this is what keeps Solange cautious. She's seen what happens when you speak too freely. She's seen what happens when you expose too much. That's why her rebellion is quiet. Her protests wrapped in poetry and performance rather than confrontation. Jay-Z, in Jaguar's telling, embodies the ruthless efficiency of this system. His business acumen and connections make him untouchable. He knows where the power lies, and he's mastered how to use it. Beyoncé, on the other hand, represents the perfection the industry demands, carefully crafted symbol of empowerment who cannot afford to appear flawed. Together, they are the ideal front: beauty, success, and dominance. But Jaguar insists that the perfection is artificial, and maintaining it requires control over everyone in their orbit, including Solange. One of Jaguar's most striking observations is about image manipulation. She says that the public only sees what the industry allows them to see. Every photo, every headline, every award performance is curated to preserve a specific narrative. When Solange challenged Jay-Z in that elevator, the world saw a moment of chaos. The industry saw a threat. Jaguar claims that after that incident, immediate effort was made to restore the family's image through PR spin, silence, and a renewed campaign of perfection. But beneath the surface, the fear remained. Solange had crossed an invisible line, and she knew it. What makes Jaguar's story so unsettling is how it resonates with a broader truth about power. The entertainment world thrives on illusion. It sells perfection while hiding pain. It glorifies independence while enforcing obedience. Solange, as Jaguar describes her, is one of the few who understand the cost of that illusion. Her fear of Beyoncé and Jay-Z isn't about sibling rivalry or jealousies. It's about survival in a world that doesn't forgive defiance. She knows the unspoken rule: you can be successful, but only if you stay silent. Through Jaguar's lens, even Beyoncé becomes a tragic figure, someone who traded freedom for control, individuality for immortality. She may stand as the face of empowerment, but behind the curtain, she too may be bound by the same system she appears to rule. Solange's fear, then, is not just of her sister's power, but of what that power represents: the loss of self, the weight of secrets, and the danger of truth. Jaguar also speaks about how these dynamics extend beyond one family. She draws parallels to other artists who've disappeared from the spotlight after challenging the establishment. She names names, recalls conversations, and shares details that paint a haunting picture of an industry that consumes its own. The deeper her accounts go, the more they reveal that Solange's fear isn't irrational, it's a reflection of reality. The higher you climb, the less freedom you have, and the harder it becomes to escape. There's a chilling irony in Solange's situation. She is loved for her authenticity, yet that very authenticity is what makes her a target. Her independence threatens a system built on control, and her silence, voluntary or forced, maintains its stability. Jaguar suggests that Solange's continued distance from mainstream fame is her way of protecting herself, of preserving whatever truth she still holds. She may never speak openly about what she knows, but her choices, her art, her absence, her restraint speak louder than words ever could. By the end of Jaguar Wright's revelations, one message stands out: fear is not weakness, it's awareness. It's the understanding that power corrupts, that truth is dangerous, and that survival sometimes means knowing when not to speak. Whether you believe Jaguar or not, her story forces us to question everything we think we know about the music industry. The stage lights blind the audience for a reason. They keep us from seeing what's really happening behind them. if Jaguar Wright's account is true, Solange's fear is a symbol of something much bigger than family tension. It's the fear of a woman who has seen the cost of power and refuses to pay it. It's the fear that keeps the powerful protected and the truth buried. And in that silence, perhaps lies the most honest story of all. You've heard Jaguar Wright's revelations. You've felt the tension, and you've seen the cracks in the image the world calls perfection. But the question remains, what happens next? If what Jaguar says is true, then Solange's silence isn't weakness. It's her armor. She's surviving in an industry that doesn't tolerate truth. Every secret is guarded by influence, and every act of rebellion comes with a cost. Maybe this isn't just about the Knowles family. Maybe it's about the price of power, the sacrifices hidden behind fame, and the courage it takes to live authentically in a world built on illusion. Now it's your turn to think deeper. Do you believe Solange's fear is real, or is it just another rumor the industry wants us to chase? How far would you go to protect your truth if the whole world was watching and waiting for you to break? If you've ever questioned the stories fame sells, then don't stop here. Speak your thoughts in the comments, share this video, and let the world know you're paying attention. Because the more we listen, the harder it becomes for the truth to stay buried. Subscribe for more untold stories, more voices that refuse to be silenced, and more light on the secrets the industry doesn't want you to see. The curtain's been pulled back. Now it's up to us to decide what we do with what's been revealed.